So today I just want to talk a little bit about how to play bar chords and how to learn bar chords effectively. I'm going to start off with the tip which everybody gives, which is a good tip, which is that you should use your right arm to stabilize the guitar, so that basically if you push gently with your right arm, you're kind of pushing the neck into your left hand. And that is good because if you have nothing there at all, then you're relying 100% on kind of squeezing the neck between your finger and thumb. And you want to push a little bit with your right arm to basically create some kind of rigidity there, so that the guitar can't just flop around like this. Because you can see my thumb, it's true, like I've got my thumb here right now, my thumb is not squeezing at all. So it is true that if I apply pressure here, I don't really need to apply much pressure with my thumb. But in reality, it's also not true that you should not apply any pressure with your thumb. Really, you want to be doing both. You want to be kind of using this arm, your right arm, to kind of create a bit of moment, a bit of rotation of the guitar into your left hand. But you don't want to be applying no pressure with your left thumb. You do want to be squeezing a little bit as well. So the next thing to say is it's definitely going to be easier to learn them kind of a bit higher up, so around the 5th fret. It's definitely going to be easier to learn sort of around the 5th to 7th kind of frets rather than trying to learn right down here, because it's less tension, so it's going to be easier to press the strings down and get a decent sound. So I definitely recommend that you start learning your chords kind of around the 5th to 7th fret rather than trying to learn them lower down the neck. So now I'm going to get to basically the truth which nobody actually wants to tell you about learning bar chords, is that every single chord is different, right? And so people say, oh, you can just learn a shape and you just slide the shape up and down the neck. It's yes, that is true, but in each position, because obviously the frets get narrower, closer together as we go up the guitar, so on. So in each position, playing a bar chord very high up feels quite different to playing one in the middle or lower down. And so the idea that you can just learn how to play bar chords kind of once is not really true. It's each chord is going to be somewhat different, and especially as a beginner, you're going to need to learn the chords in different positions on the neck and how it feels on the neck. And you might find that you can play one position perfectly in one place, and then you kind of try and play it another place, and you maybe find that you've got something that's not quite right, and you need to kind of sort of micro position this finger, your first finger, until you find a sound that's clean. So that is my next tip, is that when you're playing a chord, you want to try and hold the chord down and then play each note individually, so an arpeggio essentially, and just go and check that they're all ringing out cleanly. Because what you might find is you get something like that, and you're oh, then that doesn't sound quite right. And what you need to do is basically just tiny adjustments with your first finger with it. So either moving it slightly up or down, or slightly further back and forward, until you get a nice clean sound from every string. So it is, because when you look at your finger, you see you've got these little gaps, basically. And those little gaps, if you get one of those gaps kind of right over a string, what that's going to mean is that you will get you're going to get a sound something like that, because the string is actually sitting in the gap. So then you want to move your finger ever so slightly, up or down, kind of parallel or at right angles rather, to the neck, until you've not got a string that's kind of sitting in one of these hollows that is going to buzz, essentially. So you want to try and make very small micro adjustments until the chord comes out cleanly, and you want to check that the chord is clean by you want to try each string individually as an arpeggio, so that you can hear that you're definitely playing the chord properly, rather than just playing all the strings kind of strumming them together or something and going, well, that sounds not too bad, but you know really that you're muting a couple of strings. So, and then the final tip I would like to give is to lower your tension. Like at the moment, my guitar is tuned to D. It's a nylon guitar, so the tension is not going to be super high anyway. If you're learning on steel string guitar or electric guitar, make sure that you're not learning on really heavy strings. Like I would recommend probably, well, it depends whether it's acoustic or electric. For electric, maybe 9s are a nice sort of beginning string. For acoustic, probably 11 is like fairly standard. But I would say if you've not played guitar at all before, you might even want to consider learning on the nylon a bit before you move over to steel string, because steel string is definitely going to be a lot harder on your fingers. When I was starting out, certainly, I think on my electric guitar, after I'd been playing for about a year, I had like 13s or something on my electric guitar. It's like, there's no need. This is not like a gym necessarily for your fingers. You're not needing to play the heaviest strings possible. So I would say, like, to begin with, really focus on just getting the position. You can see here in that one. See, I was ever so slightly muting that string there. So really get the positions, play each string as an arpeggio. Make sure that you are using your right arm to kind of prevent the guitar from just rotating freely, but you don't have to push it like mad into your hand either. Like, you just want to be kind of stabilizing the guitar. You are going to squeeze a little bit with your left hand as well, but you're not trying to squeeze it so much that your hand should hurt after you're practicing. If you're squeezing it and you're seeing like these big white lines in your fingers and everything really hurts in your hand afterwards, you are squeezing too hard. Okay, so you should not be feeling pain. But basically you want to try each position individually, play each chord individually as an arpeggio to check that you really are playing each string clearly, and make micro adjustments with your fingers, especially with your index finger, moving it kind of like this ever so slightly to make sure that there's no kind of string that's sitting in a sort of hollow that's never going to really sound clear unless you make that adjustment. And those are the main tips, really. It's not as simple, unfortunately, as just pushing with this arm. That is one aspect, that's one facet. That is not the full answer. The full answer is really every chord is going to be subtly different. I mean, if you think with my hands here compared to when my hands here, like the position of my elbow, of my wrist, of my shoulder, everything is slightly different. And so you need to sort of work with all of that and find what works for you, until eventually what's going to happen is all of those positions are going to go more or less into kind of muscle memory, and you won't really be thinking about making these micro adjustments anymore. It's just going to happen because your body just knows what position the hand should be in. But until you get to that point, basically you're going to need to make very small micro adjustments in each position until you find a clear sounding chord in each case. And there is no, like, basically the thing which I feel that people don't want to say is there is no shortcut to it. It's like part of the reason why bar chords are different, more different and difficult, is because, first of all, it does require more strength. It does require a bit more strength. But second of all, it's because like when you learn an individual shape as a bar chord, it's like you still need to learn it in each position. And I think that people say that you don't. People say, oh, you can just slide the shape up and down the neck. And it's like, yeah, you can, but to get it really clean in each position is still going to take practice. So it's not really like, oh, you've just learned. It's like you are learning multiple chords still. And that is part of the reason why it's going to be harder, because you do need to practice the voicing of that bar chord in each position. You can't just be, oh, well, I can play it at the 5th fret. That means I can play it everywhere, because as we know, that is not the case. Essentially, that's like, so really the short answer is practice and micro positioning, micro changes until you get the chord sounding good. So I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, then please leave a comment below if you like, follow, subscribe if you like. If you don't want to do any of those things, you don't have to do them either. I hope you have a good day.